My name is Marcus Harden, and I would like you to close your eyes. And I want you to picture the most influential, powerful, thoughtful, informative mentors and advocates in your life. And I want you to zoom in on them, zoom in. Now get down to those ones who were really, 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 really important in your life. And I want you to picture like they're right in front of you. Reach your hand out to them. And I want you to challenge them to a dance-off. No, I'm joking. Keep your eyes closed. I want you to picture them as if they're right here, and I want you to tell them, thank you. You can open your eyes. So the question I get asked the most, besides how tall are you, and are you the guy from the blind side, is why, I get that one a lot, is why do you do advocacy? The how and the why behind mentorship. So I want to think about this a little bit and reframe. We've heard a lot of great things about a lot of great mentors and powerful people. I want to shift our narrative from mentorship to advocacy. A mentor is a relationship of hierarchical kind of top-down in which a more experienced or more knowledgeable person helps to guide a less experienced or less knowledgeable person. But an advocate is someone who fights for something or someone, especially someone who fights for the rights of others. And so it's actually been in my practice that I've moved from a mentor to an advocate. So who needs an advocate? Well, everybody needs an advocate. Josh Shipp says every kid is one caring adult away from being a success story. So we know from the adverse childhood experiences studies, we know from trauma and resiliency, we know from restorative justice, that all it takes is one adult to shift the life of a student. What are advocates? Well, advocates serve as mirrors so young people can see themselves in someone else. And advocates serve as windows, as people who they can see themselves through. And our young people can see themselves through, to their best selves. Advocates help in shaping upcoming generations. And so right now, each and every shameless plug, all of us here right now are in the work of being advocates. We want to do the work to learn more about how to get better about shaping upcoming generations. So advocacy is personal. So as you can see, this is a younger, much more patterned version of myself to the left. My grandmother, one of my greatest advocates in the top right corner. My mom holding me at 2. I'm not 5 years old in that picture. And then me at 18 with a mock neck and a wonderful necklace from Piercing Pagoda probably with my father there in the picture. This version of me did not know the things that he would need later on in life. I had some wonderful family advocates, a great network of people that really pushed and moved me. But as an only child growing up in South Seattle, there were people and things that I wanted to learn from, and wanted to learn how to be a better man and a better person. And so I was searching my whole life for an advocate. So it is my pleasure and my privilege to introduce to each and every one of you my advocate. Batman. Now I know you're saying, well, how was Batman your advocate? Well, again, I mentioned I'm the only child, and if you're an only child, you have an active imagination. So growing up, I loved Batman. And I said growing up like it's not still an issue. It may be. If I win a lot of money, I may become Batman myself. However, my advocate at a young age was Batman. And as a kid, I wanted to be Batman. I wanted to be a hero. I wanted to be a person who stood up for the rights of others and who also had a lot of money. However, what I learned as I've grown is that Batman, while he was my mentor at the time, the person I actually really wanted to be like was Alfred. Alfred is one of the world's greatest advocates. If you know the mythology of Batman, you know Alfred raised Bruce from a young age. He took him in. He was there for him as a youth. He was there for him when he became Batman. He supported him through crime fighting and everything else and bringing in other people. And he's always Batman's greatest champion, fighting crime with him and sometimes fighting crime for him. And so Alfred served as really a benchmark for me growing up as an advocate. What does advocacy take? Advocacy takes will. The training is nothing. The will is everything. And most importantly, the will to act. We have to be willing to act if you're going to be a powerful advocate. In that stead, up here is a young man who I've had the privilege to advocate for. His name is Ramon, and his mother, Nora. And that picture is from after the first ever restorative justice healing circle for a felony case. Ramon, about 2 years ago, I got a phone call from his mother, and she said he had found himself in a lot of trouble, where he found himself facing 18 to 52 months in juvenile detention for a crime that he was a part of, and she needed some help. I had mentored and advocated for his older brother. I didn't really have a relationship with Ramon. But when she made the call, I had to go. And so I went and I met with Ramon and we kind of talked about it. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do for this kid. Because this is a really big thing. He could be spending the rest of his young life, juvenile life, in jail. And so it just so happened a couple of weeks later, I found myself in the juvenile courthouse with some judges and some prosecuting attorneys and defense attorneys. And we were at the table and I looked over to my right and there was a prosecuting attorney, Jimmy Hung. And we were at the table and we were talking about utilizing the first ever restorative healing circle for a felony case. And we're like, man, we need the perfect case. And I tapped Jimmy on the shoulder and I said, I think I might have the perfect case. And I didn't know if it was the perfect case, but what I did know is I believed in Ramon, and I knew that spending that much time in jail was not going to benefit his life, his family, or the legacy of greatness that he had within him. So fast forward about 4 months later, we're in the courthouse. The process has begun. We've done the first hearing with the judge, transformative in a way that was very different. We invited community, people came in. And so afterwards, we were sitting with the prosecuting attorney, the defense attorney, Judge St. Clair in front of us, and we're going around and talking. And the judge asked Ramon, well, who is Marcus to you? And he was like, that's my advocate. And I was like, yeah, I am. I am his advocate. In the connection between Ramon and I, the first thing that I learned, besides that he was an incredible young man worth advocating for, was that we were both huge fans of professional wrestling. And taking all judgment aside, the art of professional wrestling is awesome. And so that was our connection. And so it actually made a lot more sense to me when he called me his advocate.
My name is Paul Heyman. And it is the greatest privilege of my career to serve as the advocate for the beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar.
I was going to blacken my eye to really make the moment stick, but you get the point of the deep level of advocacy that it took. And for Ramon to call me his advocate in our connection through wrestling, it was so powerful. And I was like, yeah, I want to be your advocate. Advocacy in action looks like this. A year later, after 120 hours of circle, after numerous court dates, Ramon sat with myself, Judge Sinclair, amongst others, in a community packed full of people who were there to support this first ever occasion, to then talk about the impact that it had on his life. And instead of serving that time in jail, what he did instead was heal. He healed with the victim, he healed with the family, he healed with his own family, the community, through circle, through letters of apology, and through sitting through the process and actually having to really grow himself. And instead of doing 52 months in jail, Ramon did a year of probation, but in that year of probation, his work was to actually lead more healing circles for other young people that came behind him. And in the process, he learned so much more about himself, and I'm proud to say that in a month he'll be graduating on time. His grades have risen up to a 3.3. He has done the work, and more importantly for he and his mother, his family is also healed. And so we know that advocacy in action is what this looks like, and it looks like everybody supporting that work. So now the how. The ABCs of advocacy are fairly simple, so we're going to go through them with you. But I want you to do another little activity with me. Close your eyes again. But I just want you with me to say the first three letters of your ABCs. Are we ready? A, B, C, stop. Now you wanted to go the rest. Now, here's the one thing I know. I don't think too many of us went to school together, but we all said it the same way, right? And so why your ABCs? Because we never forget them. The first one, A, affirmation. Using the Batman analogy, one of the greatest things that he learned from his father and later Alfred and his other advocates, why do we fall? So we can learn and pick ourselves back up. Being affirmative and affirming our young people and telling them the things they know they can believe in and consistently reminding them of greatness within them is the first premise of the ABCs, affirmation. Belief, you can see here the quote says, I tried to change once, look where it got me. Alfred tells them, you don't change for someone else, you change for yourself. Believing in our young people, beyond a shadow of a doubt. We know the premise of belief is to hope for a thing that is not yet seen, but we know is real. That is belief in each and every one of our young people. Lastly, commitment.
Just giving up on me. Never.
Never. I want to talk like Michael Caine one day. It takes an unwavering level of commitment to the cause of the young people. It has been my pleasure to serve so much. When I commit to a young person to be an advocate, to be a mentor, to me it's like signing up for the rest of their life. I tell all the young people I mentor, I'm with you until you tell me no longer, right? And even then, I'm still probably going to be with you. It's a level of commitment that you have to see through, because many of our young people will test that because they've had relationships in which adults have made promises and have fallen short of the mark. So we want to make sure when you make that commitment that you honor that through and through. So we know our ABCs, and we know if we do our vows, we do A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes why. But in advocacy, there's always a why. So advocacy is purposeful. So up here is my privilege to show you some of the pictures of the many people that have been the whys in my life. I'm going to get in trouble because there's not enough room on the screen to show how many. But these are some of the most powerful reasons I have done what I've done. I am but a shallow reflection of the greatness that has poured into my life. And while I've been an advocate, I've learned so much more than I would ever hope to give. So, I want you to close your eyes one more time. And I want you to picture the young person that you want to affirm, that you want to believe in, that you want to commit to. And I want you to picture them, put them right in front of you. And now open your eyes. You just found your why. And now you know your ABCs. Thank you.
All right, give it up for Batman one more time.